That is a complete proof that this cannot be consultancy. These are not consultancy numbers. And anybody who does any type of numbers and due diligence and any type of financial background, this is like plain vanilla simple. These timelines cannot coexist with any claims of a consultancy business. Any person you hear actually claiming that this is a consultancy business that can be scaled, let him see this video and shut the hell up. My name is Tom Nash, and I quit my corporate job as a senior financial analyst to break down companies for you. If there's one thing you need to know about me, I don't take bullshit from anybody. Hey, this is Tom, and welcome to another episode of Get the FUD Out of Here. And in this show, I'm going to debunk yet another lie, myth, FUD, whatever you want to call it, about Palantir. Now, I've done this before with episodes where I completely tore apart any argument about Alex Karp actually selling shares, and I showed you why those are stock option exercises and tax-driven executions. There's a whole video I did actually debunking that stupid myth. You can go and check it out. The link is going to be right here. And after I debunked that myth, they tried to claim that Palantir is not profitable, that it's bleeding cash, that it's in trouble. And I made a whole video showing why they have plenty of cash, their assets to liabilities ratio is one of the best in the business, and why they're not cash flow negative. In fact, they're cash flow positive, including some accounting principles to show you why Palantir is definitely not cash flow negative. And in today's video, I'm debunking probably the most annoying myth of them all. Palantir is a consultancy. It's not a software business, and hence it should be priced lower because you can't scale this business. It requires actual consultancy hours. Now, this myth is really annoying because all you really need to understand how stupid it is probably like a single brain cell. The reason being is that the whole idea behind starting Palantir is to create an automated platform, a software, not to sell consultancy hours. But we don't need to rely on concepts and ideas. I'm going to show you data. I'm going to show you internal presentations from Foundry users, from Palantir, from Airbus to show you why this argument is so moronic. It actually makes me laugh. It's almost as funny as watching my grandpa try to fold himself into 12 pieces when he's too drunk. Now, check this out. In this video, I'm going to show you financial data that proves that this cannot be a consultancy business. And then I'll show you the real cookie. The presentation I got from a Palantir Foundry Skywise user, completely debunking this. Just by looking at this Palantir presentation, you'll see that this is nonsensical. Now, I want you to take a look at the screen right now, and I'm a numbers nerd. The only thing I know is numbers. So these numbers do not say it's a consulting business. These numbers say that this is a software business, and I'll show you why in a second. So these are the quarterly revenues and the gross profit and the SG&A expenses of the company. Now, SG&A is basically where you have the marketing, the salaries, and whatever. So, as you can see right here, in the past 8 quarters, 8 or 9, the revenues went up from 161 million to 341 million. That's a 111% increase. So, we have an increase of 111% in revenues, which in itself in 2 years is kind of insane. But hold on, it's not about that. That's not the point of this video. So, an increase of 111% in revenues. So in a consultancy business, you would expect to see complete correlation because if you're working in the consultancy business, essentially you need more employees to generate more revenue. But in the software business, you have to see this difference. And look at this. Gross profit went from 110 million in the same time to 267 million the same time. And that's a 142% increase in gross profit. So if it was a consultancy business, this number would have not be real. From 111% in revenues, 142% in profitability increase. So essentially, as they get bigger and bigger, the gross profit is actually expanding. It cannot work if you have a complete correlation like in a consultancy business. In fact, even if it was a great consultancy business, you would probably expect to see here 120, 125%. But this huge difference, 145% increase in gross profit, when all you did is increase in 111% the revenues, that points out that there is no correlation, that this business is completely scalable. Now, if you take a look at these SG&A, they grew from 176 to 282. Now, here's the kicker. This is a 60% growth. So all you needed is a 60% growth in your SG&A to get 111 revenues up and 142 gross profit up. That is a complete proof that this cannot be consultancy. These are not consultancy numbers. And anybody who does any type of numbers and due diligence and any type of financial background, this is like plain vanilla simple. Now, if there's any analysts that are looking at this and saying, well, this looks like a consultancy, you should basically stop listening to them because they don't have an idea what they're talking about. What you're seeing on the screen right now are two presentations that I received from an employee inside an airline that shared this with me. All the way down, you can see the aircraft A320, A330, A350, A380, and they're sending up data. And this data is generating the services, the predictive maintenance, the flight efficiency improvements, health monitoring, reliability. And this is how the flow actually looks like. You have the service documentation, sensors, maintenance data, parts, faults, all the flight scheduling information. It flows through the different data infrastructures of Foundry, essentially Skywise, and it was generating the preventative maintenance, the materials management, essentially that's I think ERPs and all the inventory stuff, fault investigation and alerting, that's actually the safety, route planning and scheduling, essentially that's efficiency, and more and more. And I want you to read this really carefully. Data persistence, infinite scalability, high networking performance. Can you see this? This is really important, but hold on a second. I'll show you even more data. This is how a Skywise timeline looks like. If you joining the platform, this is your onboarding process. Let's go through it together. And I want you to see the timeline because the timeline clearly shows you this cannot be consulting. Look at this cutoff date right here. Onboarding and kickoff. Can you see this? Onboarding kickoff right here in the center. Let me highlight it for you for those of you who didn't see it. Onboarding kickoff right here. Look at the date. 1 to 2 weeks, the preparation, and then your onboarding. 3 to 6 weeks, your onboarding ends. Within 6 weeks at the most. Let's use 3 to 6 as the timeline here. 3 to 6 weeks, you're fully onboarded. And that just becomes service and support. Does it sound like a consulting business? Is there any consultancy business in existence that takes 3 to 6 weeks to onboard a client and just send them to service and support from that moment on, having them pay fees? It does not exist because it's clearly not a consulting structure. As you can see right here, let's go through the initial engagement, contract signature, onboarding kickoff, onboarding end. So obviously you have the introductions, you meet with IT, CIO, I'm guessing CIO is Chief Information Officer, identify the priorities, what's important for this client, blah, blah, blah. You sign the contract. The prep work is 1 to 2 weeks. 1 to 2 weeks. I've done consultancy work in my life. 1 to 2 weeks is really, really fast. Onboarding and kickoff actually starts here within 2 weeks. 3 to 6 weeks is the onboarding. Weekly check-ins with project sponsor, data integration. Basically, the engineers are on location. That's true. And then you have the workflows implementation. Essentially, you're onboarding the client to the system. 3 to 6 weeks, you're done. What you have as a client after 3 to 6 weeks is this. Skywise in service, dedicated Palantir contact. That's it. They need one person, an account manager. Easy maintenance, value monitoring, Skywise support. Basically, you're a software user. These timelines cannot coexist with any claims of a consultancy business. Any person you hear actually claiming that this is a consultancy business that can be scaled, let him see this video and shut the hell up. I've been Tom. Thank you so much. Appreciate the support from the channel members and the Patreons. If you want to join and support the channel, the links are going to be below. Much love to everybody. Go Palantir.